Okay, so we plugged our numbers. If you want to do Pythagorean theorem, we plugged our numbers into here. Comes out to 125. Does that simplify?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So 125 divides by 5, right? 5 and 25. 25 is that perfect square, so that's 5 and 5. And so it simplifies to 5 root 5. So we always have to give the simplified answer instead of just square root 125. All right, what is our slope of AT, or our rise and run of AT?
Oh, -2.
Yeah. So it's the same, -5 and 10, but -5 goes on top, so it's -1/2. And then distance is the same. We have 10 and 5 again, so we know it's going to come out the same, 5 root 5. And what's the slope of TG? Undefined. And what's the length of TG? 5. All right, did we need to find slopes to do the proof for kite? No, we just did it for practice. Okay, so to prove it's a kite, there's 2 steps, so we have to actually do both of these. We can't just do one. So kite is one that you have to have 2 steps. So step 1, find distance lengths of all 4 sides, must have 2 pairs of consecutive congruent sides, okay? So that's step 1. So consecutive means right beside each other. So GO is congruent to TG, and they're beside each other. And those both have the distance of 5. OA is congruent to AT with a distance of 5 root 5. All right, step 2. So kite's another of those. We have to have both statements here. So step 2, the slopes of the 2 diagonals, and they must be perpendicular. So I need to find my slopes of my diagonals. What would the slope of TO be? Be 1. And
wait, so what are the diagonals?
So diagonals are when we go across from like T to O.
Okay.
And G to A.
G to A.
So they're the ones that cut through the middle of it. So TO is a slope of 1. What's the slope of GA? -1, okay? So then we can write TO is perpendicular to GA. They're 1 and -1. So we count this as up 5 over 5. And so then that reduces to 1. And then this, if we counted it, is down 10 over 10. And so that's -1 because of the down is negative. All right, and we're finished. That is our proof that it is a kite. Why do you think I have to write these statements to prove it's a kite and not something else?
Because I want you to be confused. It's not the same thing as the other one.
If I just wrote this, if I just said 2 sides are the same, 2 sides are the same, what other shape could it be? It could be a rectangle. It could just be a parallelogram. So then I have to show this also to prove that it's not.
Or you could just write kite on it.
You can, but we're proving that kite's what you write, like when you're in elementary school, you just label your shapes. Here we're saying, hey, what are the properties and how can I prove it? And this is something you might eventually use if you went into like some sort of design job. Like architecture. Okay, slide on down. The next one, it says prove is trapezoid, and very sadly, the directions didn't print for you. Okay, so to prove it's a trapezoid, it's really easy. So show, you have to show one pair of parallel sides. And one pair are not parallel. Thank you. Sides are not parallel. If we didn't have both those statements, if we just had one side is parallel, what other shape could it be?
Nope.
Yeah, rhombus has a pair of parallel sides. It could really be any of those we studied last class. Rhombus, square, rectangle, parallelogram. So that's why we have to show it has both, because if we don't have both, then it's not.
So one pair and one pair not.
Yeah, so one pair is parallel, one pair is not parallel. That's to prove it's a trapezoid. So we're going to graph it real quickly just so you have the visual. So So what do we need to find to prove parallel and not parallel?
Slopes.
Yes, we need slopes. So, what are your slopes here?
E's wrong. You're wrong. You should be one over.
T's wrong?
E. E's wrong. 21.
No, you're right. E is totally wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I did 2-1.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you went to.
Yeah, E should be straight.
It was crazy. I did the same thing. Who?
Okay. I made 2 mistakes. This is just not my graph. Okay, so we're going to find slopes K-A, H-E, E-T, and K-E. Okay, what is our slope of K-A?
2 over 3.
2 over 3. How about AT?
4 over 3.
AT is negative 4 over 3, right? I did not leave myself space here. I'm sorry. Okay. ET is what? I heard someone say it. What was it? 2 over 3.
Yeah.
So ET is 2/3 again. And KE? Undefined.
Or 0. Yeah.
Okay, so we've just proved, so we have enough to prove it's a trapezoid by saying KA is parallel to ET with the slope of 2/3. AT is not parallel, so our not parallel is just the parallel symbol crossed out. AT is not parallel to KE because it's negative 4/3 and undefined. So that's it to prove it's a trapezoid. Trapezoids, though, are one of those things we always have to say now, are they isosceles or not isosceles? We have to differentiate between those two. So what does it need for it to be an isosceles trapezoid? What does it need to be? So, and again, this didn't print for you. So isosceles is, we aren't measuring angles here, so we're not going to do base angles or congruent. What was the second one you just read? diagonals
And like,
are congruent. So in method 1, prove diagonals are congruent. Method 2 is prove non-parallel side congruent. Okay, so when it says method, that means we can choose one of those for our proof statement. And so we're going to do both for notes. So what are my non-parallel sides? Yeah, so AT and KE. And so I just need to find their distance. Let's do the easy one first. What's the distance of KE? 6. All right, AT, I'm going to plug it in, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So I do 4 squared plus 3 squared. Does anyone have that memorized yet, what that comes out to?
16, 9. No. Shoot.
16 plus 9. What's the square root of 25?
25. 5.
5, right? So then my statement would just be AT is not congruent to KE. Yes, thank you. So not congruent. All right, diagonals, to save time, I'm going to tell you diagonal lengths come out to root 73 and to root 10. So AE is not congruent to KT. So it's not isosceles. So again, we always have to have 2 statements for trapezoids because we have to have one proving it's a trapezoid and then one proving yes or no for isosceles. So when you have all of that, go ahead and flip over to our last shape. What do you guys think the last shape's going to be? An isosceles trapezoid. No, we're doing quadrilaterals. Octagon's not coming yet.
Wait, are we
Okay.
going to do those?
Octagons? Well, you did like find the angles of them. We don't do octagon proofs. I mean, if it has 8 sides, it's an octagon. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. Well, if you did your homework last time, you don't have 4 pages left.
Can you send us reminders? Because I can't forget.
Well, but you always have homework. You don't need to remind saying the same thing every day.
Please, can we check our answers with Canvas? Trust us.
You can sometimes check your answers.
I just think it's way better for our mental health.
On me, cause like stressing over homework, that's what that do to a brain.
Yeah,
You know, I got a game tonight, and I'm gonna have to do all my
Oh my
homework tomorrow.
gosh, you do everything. That sucks.
And it's not even, it doesn't even start until 8 o'clock. So I'm not even gonna get home until like 10:30.
So do your homework between the end of school and 8 o'clock.
But I gotta stay here.
Do your homework here.
She has to like warm up.
Okay.
She has to warm up for like
You have to warm your
6
body.
hours.
All right, you guys.
'Cause it's cold.
Here we go, as quickly as possible, because we do want to give you guys a few minutes to look at your homework. So,
Go.
do we need the distance of all sides?
What?
Do we need to find the distance of everything?
Yes. No? Maybe so.
Well, really, for a trapezoid, we don't need the distance of the parallel sides. So we need the slopes of everything.
So, IL
No.
or LI?
That's right. So we need slopes of everything. So, what is the slope of IM? IM is 1. MK is 0. KL is 1. LI is undefined.
And to add on to that, I have to read a 200-page book by Thursday.
That sucks. When did you get the book?
Last week.
Should have replied
Do you want a bus pass to come do your homework?
Okay.
that. She's still not doing
If you guys feel like you have too much, I can write you plus passes to come work on
No,
homework.
it's plus today.
Always on my Honestly, this my plus this it doesn't really matter. I think engineering. Give me
I have
more.
asbestos.
Go ahead, I won't do it.
So it's a trapezoid by that statement. We already know that. You guys do know that your comments are being recorded, right?
Are they really?
Yes, we're recording this.
So,
Okay, so then what do I have to prove to figure out if it's isosceles?
all different sides.
Yeah, I have to figure out my non-parallel sides. Can I count those?
1, 2,
What do they measure?
wait, which one is on?
My non-parallel sides. Can I just count them?
3.
Yeah, they equal 3. This is a really easy one just to do. My non-parallel sides are equal. They both equal 3. And then that lets me know that it is isosceles. Okay. If I choose to do method 2, then I would prove, if I choose to do method 1, I would prove my diagonals and count out my diagonals. So ML and IK. And again, to save time and notes, I'm just going to tell you those both come out to root 29. So ML is also congruent to IK.
Let's go, baby. TR.
Okay, so then this is the page 5 of your packet to fill in for all the different properties of the quadrilaterals. So go ahead and fill that in if you're making this up online, and just know this is really good to keep track of what the properties are so you know what to prove. If it has 2 pairs of parallel angles, parallel sides, it's parallelogram, and then you can check for rectangle, square, or rhombi. Or if it only has 1 pair of parallels sides, it's a trapezoid. So make sure you have this in your notes for our open note test next time.